up? I'm Emerald Ray, and today we're going to be learning a really amazing tune called Polly Put the Kettle On. And this one is sort of some places, but not everywhere. I would consider it a rarity. It's not a very super common tune in my places that I travel. But you might recognize it and have heard it lots of places. Lucky you. This tune is such a cool tune, and I got it from this amazing album called Fiddlers 4, which was Michael Doucet and Bruce Molsky, Darryl Anger, Rashad Eggleston, and that came out back in the early 2000s, and it was like this really pivotal fiddle record, so you should absolutely go back and listen to that record. That's like a total changing the course of the fiddle world record, you know, in my opinion. They did so many cool things with that record and with all those tunes that I feel like it was just really important. A very influential record for a lot of us that are were young at that time and are pros now, for sure. So this tune was on that record, and it's also in some other places. And this tune I just loved so much. I have been playing this tune for a really long time, and there's two different ways to play it. You can kind of play it so it's a little bit crooked, or it sounds crooked anyway, and then you can straighten it out. So it's just like a really nice dance tune that you could use for contra dances and things like that. So we're gonna sort of learn it both ways, or I'll show you where the gray area is there, because there is a little bit of one in the middle as you're going into the B part. So this tune is in G minor-ish. Like it goes, you know, I feel like I love tunes that switch the modality and go from minor to major, and this one goes into you know, like straight up major in the B part, and I love it when that happens. It feels like it's harkening back to you know, some Celtic flavor, which, you know, because like Scottish tunes do that all the time. They are major in the first part and minor in the second part, and vice versa. You know, it's a pretty common thing to do. So I love when this pops up, and I love when this pops up in old time music, because to me that's a direct reference, and I love things like that. So we're gonna start off on our B flat on the A string. So that's, you know, it's almost like a big, you know, it almost sounds, you know, when I play it like that, like it's a B flat, but it's actually. So it's really interesting in the beginning. So we're gonna go. So all the way down on the G string there. And one more time. Ah, my finger just wants to do that. I'll show you what that is, just in case I do it. It's super jazzy that my hand just wants to do it all the time because it's so easy to do there. So I have a D here, and I'm pulling my third finger down to the C sharp, actually. So that's a really kind of weird thing to do, but just so jazzy. So yeah, third finger on D on the A string. I'm pulling down to the C sharp and rolling down 3, 2, 1. So I'm doing a C sharp, and then that's a C natural and a B flat. Okay, so just so you know what that is. So I'll play the whole part with that in it so you can hear what it sounds like, but you don't have to play it if you don't want to. And then the next part is pretty easy. So that's pretty simple. I would just try to get your syncopations going there. One more time. Very good. And then the next part is the same as the first. And then the last part is. So. So just rolling around that G minor chord there. There we go. So that's the whole A part. We just play that twice. So let's start from the very top. So there you have it. That's the A part there. And so you're catching my Celtic interpretation of this tune. I am quite sure. I always get, really hardcore old time players always make fun of my Celtified old time tunes, but I don't care. I'm me. I'm Emerald Ray. I do my thing. That is what I do. I'm too old to change my ways now. So, no, I'm just kidding. You're never too old. I'm just, at a certain point, you settle into your own musicality, and I stopped caring about sounding Celtic to old time players about 15 years ago. So well, as the Scottish would say. So we've got the A part now. And so there's a kind of a funky way that you can get into the B part. But I'm going to talk about that after, if you don't mind. We'll just do like the ironed out version for now. And then you can decide if you want to go ahead and make it crooked. I just feel like it's going to be easier to get into the B part this way. So the B part starts. So now we're in major, just all of a sudden. So starting on a G, with a nice big B natural there. But I guess we're just in, where are we now? We're back to the F natural there. So, so for if that's straining your ear, let's try it again. So sorry, I put in a little pickup there. Let's do that just for the heck of it, because we're gonna need it. So that's a D, F sharp. So landing on that C there. And then the next phrase is. Now playing an F sharp for absolutely no reason other than it sounds cool. Let's try that one more time. All right, so let's try that again. So first we have the F natural, and then we're going to have the F sharp. So. Oh yeah, so that's an F natural in the beginning, in the pickup, and then we have G major, but with an F natural, and then we're going to F sharp, like. So I couldn't resist. Sorry. So we're let's do that one more time, and then I'll show you what happened there. I went back to the F natural, and I'm laughing at my own jokes. So we have the F natural, major, F natural, sharp, so that is a very anticipated F natural there. So we're hitting that right on the fourth beat of that last measure there. And that is very much part of the tune. It's really, you can't really not do that. It's part of the melody. So let's do that big anticipated F natural there. Let's try that again. And one more time. Continuing on. Did I do that right? So yeah, we're legitimately still in G major now. So I'm gonna start at the beginning of the B part just to make sure I have everything the way it's supposed to be, because it's easy to get lost in the sauce here. So we're starting at the top of the B part. Going back into the A part, it would be starting on a B flat there. So I hope you made it through that. Let's do the whole thing repeated with a little bit more speed, because it'll actually be a little bit easier when it's taking some kind of shape. 1, 2, and here we go. So there we go with that. So yeah, you can hit the, or, you know, however, whatever pickup you want to use to get back into that B part, then you can. So let's play the whole tune, and then we'll talk about what to do with it after that. So that seems like a good pace. 2, 1, 2, 3, and. So that is the tune. There we go. So, when you're getting into this tune, like I said, I have a lot of Celtic flavor in here, which I can go through if you like. An old-time player would not do that. That's a little warble in there. So, so that's just a little variation on the melody there. And it's a really it's a natural thing to do once you get into the melody. Instead of it's just kind of adding in a few notes here and there just to fill it out a little bit. And so, when you have a line that's as simple as da 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 dee 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 dum, it makes sense to add to keep adding to that because there's space to add stuff, so you can add as much as you want. So I've done some upward slides. I'm just sliding my second finger there. So it's on an F natural, and I'm not really sliding it up to the F sharp. I'm just sliding it slightly out of place and then letting it go. Because this is an old time tune, you want to be double stopping the whole time. So make sure you got your G's and your open D's going there. I feel like this one's bluesy enough to handle some single notes, so don't be afraid of doing that. And especially if you're playing this with a group of people, you can absolutely single note it. But I would be conscious of doing that for effect rather than because you don't know what the double stops are supposed to be. So I would just go ahead and wail away. The double stops aren't hard to find. You're just doing open G and open D. And then once you switch into the B part, so I'll show you the crooked version. Goes anyway, that's where it was. So you have so actually cutting off a couple of notes there. Dum, ba, da, 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 da. Instead of playing da, 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 da. So you have a quarter note there, and then da, 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 da. It's you're playing da 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 da, and it's a dotted quarter, I think. Da 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 da. So so you're cutting off, I don't know, you're cutting off a few notes there. It doesn't pay to think about it too much. It would just sound like this. 2, 3. So you're cutting that da 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 dum. So I think what you're doing is you're taking the first note of the B part and you're just elongating it. That seems like the easiest way to think about it. So you're going da 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 da, and here's the first note of the B part. 2, 3 da 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 dum da dum dee da da da. And so, you know, if you're playing in a situation where you need everything to be straight, like if I was using this, for a good example, like for a contra dance, where it needs to be, in a certain form, then, it needs to be 32 bars or whatever, then I wouldn't do that, because that would mess everything and everybody up, and everybody would kick off their shoes and leave the dance hall. I'm just kidding. They might, actually. No, I don't think it would be that bad, but you would get some eyebrows from everybody, that's for sure. And you'd have to figure out where you were supposed to be, get back on. So something to be aware of is things like that. If you have an arrangement, crookedness is something that people need to know is happening. Unless you're in a situation where, you can play crooked tunes, maybe you're in a session or something like that, then it's no big deal. But for dancing, people kind of need to know where things are at usually. So you can go ahead and put that in. I played it like that in the beginning when I played it fast. I played the crooked version. So, and you could make up another crooked version if you wanted to. You can absolutely do that. So getting into this B part there, though, since we've gotten past that, I think it's really good to, I kind of single note that one a little bit because I want it to pop out. So that's where I'm talking about doing single notes is good for effect in certain places. So what I've done there is I've pulled my D. Got a good pull down there. So the D is ringing. So while I'm playing, my open D string is still ringing. So that's something that's good to pay attention to too. You want to get your open strings ringing, and then it's going to sound so much better when you are playing that same note up on the top string. You can just hear there's just more going on. So and when you hit that big F natural, you want to make sure. I like to hit the open A too, to just make sure we're super clear that we're on an F now. And that thing I taught you in the beginning, you can do that up there. With the little third finger coming down to the G sharp. So that's a little slide there. So together the B part would sound like this. There we go. That is Polly Put the Kettle On. I'll play it one more time so we can jam it out. And I will see you in the next video. 3, 4.